And that's when we really get to start talking about working with students. So really excited about that to begin this afternoon. Okay, well, we'll just jump into things, and hopefully some more will jump on board. If not, we'll repackage. I know 3:30 is not the easiest time for educators to come on board, but yeah, thank you again for joining us today. So I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing. Apologies if that's not the most interesting, but I think it'll be helpful for us as I go through just a few things. So can everybody see my screen? Just a thumbs up if you can. Yeah, thanks. So welcome to the 2020 Global Smarts Mentoring Program. Really excited to get started and to connect with each of you. I know we've been talking via email for a long time, but really excited to join you guys. Oh, put it in presentation mode. Yes. Here we go. Sorry. There we go. Can you guys see better now? Okay, great. Yeah, so really excited that you guys are all able to join us today, and we get to talk a little bit about the specifics of the Global Smarts Mentoring Program. So just a little bit, let's take a step back. What our organization, the World Affairs Council of Philadelphia, is a nonprofit, nonpartisan educational organization dedicated to engaging people of all ages in matters of national and international significance. So we have programs dedicated to our adult audiences, but most importantly, we have educational programs for middle and high school students. Our middle school students come to us participating in the Junior Model UN program, which serves this year about 600 students, so a fairly large group. Global Smarts is a subset of that 600 students. That's about 150, 175 students this year, which we're really excited about working with entirely virtually this year. Just moving on, I know a lot of you are joining us for your second, third, fourth, fifth years as Global Smarts faculty advisors. Welcome back. For those of you who are joining us for your first year, really excited to get started. This will be my first year directing the Global Smarts Mentorship Program, but I have a very strong team with me. Kristen Hutchinson, who is with us today, the leader of our department, leads our department, and has been the Global Smarts, the director of Global Smarts for 4 years, I think, Kristen. You can jump in if I'm wrong there, but I think 4 years, right?
I think 3, yeah. 3. Sorry that I don't have my video on, by the way, guys. I was having some technical difficulties, but it's so great to see so many familiar faces back to the program, and welcome Joanna, who's one of our new faculty advisors for this year.
Yeah, of course. I've been with the World Affairs Council for coming on 3 years now, I think. I've been helping Kristen in the background with Global Smarts for the past 2 years or so. It's really been her baby, and I've been just helping with some small behind the scenes stuff. Our third member of our excellent team is Casey Trapp. She was a former Global Smarts mentor herself. She attended St. Joe's and was a Global Smarts mentor before joining us on staff at the World Affairs Council. So plenty of experience with Global Smarts amongst the three of us. So again, this is something that you might have seen before, just our general Junior Model UN timeline and how Global Smarts fits into that. The Junior Model UN program runs January through May with these 3 major conferences. Cultural Diplomacy Conference in January, which was last week, I think. Time is a little bit strange these days, but Cultural Diplomacy Conference, which each of you have completed. Thank you guys for joining us for that. The March Model UN Prep Conference. It's the 2nd week of March. You guys are scheduled on different days, but I believe it's the 8th, 9th, and 10th of March, our program days for Junior Model UN. And then we have our Junior Model UN Final Conference in May, which is really the culminating event of this entire program. You'll be spread out across multiple dates in May. I've emailed those to you in the past. If you have any questions about your dates and your virtual learning platforms and all those kind of technical details, please feel free to email me at any time. I should have mentioned on that last slide with all of our headshots, my role here is really just to help facilitate, to the best of my ability, the faculty advisor, yourselves, and the Global Smarts mentor students from St. Joe's and Temple University. I'm really here to be a conduit to answer any questions, help solve any minor issues that come up, and best prepare those mentors to work with your students. We'll get into those mentors in just a second, and we'll get into your role as faculty advisors in just a second. I want to pause here. Kristen, do you have anything to add, or does anybody have any immediate questions right off the bat that I can answer?
No, just, the Cultural Diplomacy Conference went really well last week. I know we had a little bit of challenge one day with our chat feature, but, we're learning and working through all of this. This is a different environment for us, but, the overwhelming response from all of our teachers is that they're so happy that we're still facilitating the program this year. So I got to meet some of the mentors last week during Eric's first session, and I'm just super excited that we have another fabulous cohort of really promising undergraduate students that are ready and excited to start working with your students in a virtual capacity this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just continue on. So the Global Smart Mentoring Program, based on Kristen's leadership in the last few years, has really developed into a strong core program that we can use year to year. This year will be slightly different because of the virtual component. I'll talk a little bit about that more. But we were fortunate enough to receive the 2020 Lindy Award for Excellence in K-12 Education. Really proud of that, and the expansion of the program to include as many students in as many schools as possible. So big shout out to Kristen and all of her efforts. You might have been working with our colleague Shanti as well in the past. They did an incredible job building this program, and just really a big shout out to them as this program has built on itself year after year. As I mentioned, last year, the Global Smarts Mentoring Program went to a virtual format with the onset of the COVID-19. We've decided for this year, the entire program, regardless of what happens with vaccines or whatever, with schools reemerging into in-person or hybrid, we're just going to be totally virtual this year for the program. So you could just kind of benchmark that as an entirely virtual program as we work January through the spring into April and May. We began recruiting our mentors way back in October, I think. I think it was October, maybe in September of 2020. All the mentors were screened, interviewed, and eventually selected from a pretty large candidate pool for the 33 mentors who will be serving 189 students over 9 schools this year. We actually have 10 groups. One school, JSU, you're split into 2 cohorts. That is not news to you, but just a small point there. But we do have 33 mentors this year. 28 of those mentors are from St. Joseph's University, and 5 of those mentors are from Temple University. For the cohorts, the groups together are either all Temple students or all St. Joe's students. There's no mixing of St. Joe's and Temple students. So I'll get to the differences between Temple students and St. Joe's students. There really aren't that many differences though. Mentors will meet with your students once a week for 11 to 12 weeks. And really what you'll be working on are both the hard skills like geographical knowledge, understanding of the UN, those types of writing skills, but as well as some soft skills as well. Public speaking, peer leadership, the ability to stand in front of in this case, computer screen and deliver a speech or make a coherent point to an audience. So that's the type of activities. The activities and workshops that we'll be doing will be geared towards both hard skills and soft skills. This year, because of the virtual component, I'm really emphasizing the relationship building as a core piece of this program. It's definitely going to be the hardest portion of this program to convert from in-person to virtual learning. You can't really replicate that in-person, all the students in the room, meeting face-to-face with mentors. But I'm really, when I'm working with our mentors, I'm really pushing the fact that relationship building is the #1 priority that we want our students and mentors to develop, them to have a understanding of each other, their backgrounds, who they are, and have some empathy and compassion for each other as we all try and navigate this really tough world. So again, thank you to our mentors for all of their hard work that they will and have already put into this year. Again, just that final bullet point, the entire program is really meant to build towards that Junior Model UN final conference in May. So there's a lot of text on this page. Apologies for that. I will just kind of run through it quickly. This is mentor expectations and mentor best practices. So this is stuff that I've already delivered to our mentors and things that we expect out of them. So in terms of attendance, we expect them to attend all Global Smarts mentoring sessions. So one session a week for 11 to 12 weeks. Attend all of our Thursday, what I'm calling staff meetings, which is how we prep them to work with your students. We will give them one excused absence, but they're really critical to the success of their mentors. So we encourage their participation. All of your mentors were either in attendance at our Cultural Diplomacy Conference live or viewed the keynote speeches in a recording. So they all have seen the same content that your students have seen in the Cultural Diplomacy Conference. The prep conference, they'll be invited to attend live. If they can't, then they will view a recording. They must attend the final conference live with your students. In terms of our commitment expectations to them, all mentors that are involved in this program are enrolled in either credit-bearing courses or internships. So they're getting course credit for this, or they're getting internship credit from this, from St. Joe's and Temple, respectively. So we have pretty high expectations of them and the work that they're going to put into this. This is not, just something that they want to put on a resume or like an extracurricular activity for them. This is really a credit-bearing or credit-bearing course or internship that they need to complete in order to fulfill their graduation requirements. So again, I'm putting pretty high expectations on them. I've interviewed all of them. Kristen, I think, interviewed most of them with me, if not all of them with me. And I think we have a really, really, really good group this year. I'm a little biased in saying that because this is my first year running it, but I really do think that we selected a really good group. Just on the right side of this, some things that I was really pushing for our Global Smarts mentors this year are just these ideas of flexibility, self-determination, independence, and teamwork. Some of those seem conflicting, independence and teamwork at the same time. But Global Smarts mentors are going to have to solve some of their own issues and work together to meet deadlines and do their best to work with your students. I'm not going to be capable of micromanaging every single interaction between mentors and mentees. So really pushing this idea of self-determination and independence as they work with your students. I really hit on this idea of communication being absolutely vital for our mentors. There's a whole lot of uncertainty out there in the world right now. We're not sure exactly what the next month is going to look like, let alone the next week. So I've really been kind of hammering this idea of what can you control? And your communication is one thing that you can control. So I've been telling them communication with faculty advisors, their co-mentors, with me, with their universities is really important. Teamwork and relationship building are just the last 2 points that I wanted to mention there. That are particularly important to this group of mentors. In terms of faculty advisor expectations and best practices, just starting in the top left here, attendance expectations, we're going to ask you to join your Global Smarts mentors in all of those Global Smarts sessions. The mentors will be forward and speaking, the most. We want them to lead those sessions. This is a time for you to take a step back and take a breath, a much deserved breath as an educator, and allow them to really take the lead in these sessions. We do ask you that you assist them when needed. These mentors. Some of them are education majors, but for the most part, they are international affairs or poli-sci majors that really have experience working with kids, but aren't, they're not educators, they're not teachers, they're not trained, and they're not professionals like each of you are. So they might need some help, especially with like behavioral adjustments, especially getting used to class policies and procedures, especially as it pertains to virtual learning. So, be available to them if they have any questions, but we really do want them to have their foot forward as much as possible. They might have some questions, like in the moment questions, like, how do I best get this piece of paper in front of your students' screens, whether that's, placing it in a Zoom chat or hosting it on your Google Drive, your Google Classroom. You're going to need to work with your mentors to be flexible to what, allowing them to get information in front of your students to the best of your abilities. Something that I didn't put in here, but I wanted to just hit on real quick. We are asking each school to provide a link for the mentorship meetings. That way that we just, cross a couple of technical hurdles easily by you guys providing that link, and a couple of security hurdles as well. It's hosted by you guys. That would be really beneficial to us. The council can host a meeting if needed, but really we are asking you guys to provide the access links for our mentors. Communication expectations. Email is preferred. We've told our mentors that they should be emailing with you guys. If you have a preferred method that isn't email, you can work that out with your mentors. If you would want to share phone numbers and text, that is up to you, but we have told them that emailing is the preferred method of communication. I would just say be prepared for a lot of early emails as mentors grasp the virtual learning space and challenges, and try and get some of these policies that you guys have with the virtual learning environment. I'm going to be performing observations early, especially early in the first 2 weeks of the program. I should mention that starting on Monday, next Monday, is our first set of sessions. I believe New Foundations is Monday, is that right? So Rachel, you'll get us started on Monday with our first group, yeah. And I will be, I think I'm scheduled to be in attendance at that one. So if I'm not observing your first session, I will be observing your second session. But the expectation is that I will observe at least one session, but hopefully 2 sessions throughout the year. Again, our students are taking this for course credit, so I have some obligations to St. Joseph's University and Temple University to report back to them about how your students, how your mentors are doing. If you have any feedback for mentors, I really encourage you to provide that directly to them, whether that is a brief meeting after your session, or just an email follow-up with them, or even if you want to schedule a separate meeting. That would be really helpful for them. Hearing directly from educators like yourself on critical pieces of feedback would be really helpful for them. I'm going to provide them with my own feedback from observations as well. But again, I think coming from you, it would be really helpful. In terms of calendar changes, we're probably going to experience a number of calendar changes from January through May, whether that's the change to in-person or hybrid, or snow days, if snow days still exist. There are a lot of small calendar changes that will likely jump in. Bernadette, I see your hand. I'll just finish my point and then get right to you. Just a quick note for calendar changes. St. Joe's and Temple this year don't have a spring break. They have sprinkled in throughout the semester health and wellness days. So essentially, they don't want their students to leave campus and then come back to campus, because that presents a whole bunch of health and safety COVID issues. So they're just canceling spring break and giving them random days off throughout the semester. Now, that's great for students, but it makes our lives a little bit trickier, because a St. Joe's student might just have a random Tuesday off where they're not expected to perform a session. Unfortunately, because it's a course-bearing class for them, I can't require them to run a Global Smart session on a day where the university is telling them that it's a health and wellness day. So one of the first assignments for our mentors is to connect with you guys and hash out a schedule, a school-specific schedule for January through March. And then we'll do it again March to May. But we're going to ask them to connect with you and figure out, okay, what are Shawmont's days off? What are St. Joe's days off? What are, New Foundation's testing days where where students can't be in a session because they have testing requirements? Just to hash out all of those particulars, and mentors will connect with you about that assignment. Again, January through March is the first one. Bernadette, sorry that I just talked over your question there for a little bit, but you wanna ask something?
So there might be a scheduling problem, and I know they're college students. In the beginning of the year, the school district of Philadelphia had planned like half-day Fridays where the students are dismissed and there's staff meetings. And I've heard that when we go back to school, those are now going to be switched to Wednesdays. So I know like my day is on a Wednesday, and so I don't know if it affects other district schools, but should we try to figure something out before that happens, or just wait and see because everything changes? And I know they're college students and they might have classes on a Friday at that time.
Yeah, that's a great question. So so your session, if I'm getting this right, is scheduled for Fridays, but you're worried that
it's scheduled on Wednesdays.
Okay.
But the district plan is when we go back to school, the Fridays half days will become Wednesday half days. So that means anybody that has a session on a Wednesday, the students will not be in school at that time.
Yeah. Again, yeah, as Kristen said in the chat, I think it's a wait and see.
Okay.
We're just going to have to kind of roll with the punches as they go this semester. I have every single one of our students' schedules. So what I can do is I can start looking at these Wednesday to Friday shifts to see if they're possible. Most colleges, most of our students are on like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. So whatever their schedule is on Wednesday is generally their schedule on a Friday also.
Okay.
But I can't guarantee that that's the case across schools. Kristen, do you want to jump in here?
Yeah, that's actually true, Eric. So their schedules, for the most part, should be the same Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday, Thursday. Sometimes there's some differences, but I think we have to wait and see. There's just a lot of variables. We don't know when the district will decide to make this decision to return. Of course, it's all based on health guidance and what's going to happen over the next couple months. But I think the plan, just to have it in everybody's mind, might be to have as a backup, a plan C almost, asynchronous sessions or asynchronous lesson plans from, March to April. They don't really have sessions in May. It's really March and April that the program kind of runs. And then, obviously the final conference is right at the beginning or middle of May. With the mentors maybe having one final session in early May. But I think that might have to be the plan. It's just going to be impossible for us to plan to let you all know that the mentors will have availability on both of those days if the sessions change in the middle of the semester.
And I'll just piggyback off of that. Kristen and I have our ear to the ground to the best of our ability about the Philadelphia School District and calendar changes. But you guys might hear stuff, whether whispers or concrete facts a little bit before us. So if you do hear anything, please pass it along to us. That gives us the ability to be flexible as well.
Yes, that's a great point, Eric.
Great. Okay. I think that might have been our last slide there. Yeah, that's our last slide. So thanks for participating in the 2021 Global Smart Mentoring Program. We really do appreciate the fact that you guys are giving your time and effort to allowing our mentors to work with your students. I'm just going to kind of open up the floor now to see if anybody has any other questions. Angela, you want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you. I was wondering, our schedule is like our students have lunch until 1:15, and the meeting is supposed to start to switch that to start a little bit later if I talk to the young ladies that are working. And that's just something new. We're in the building. Some people are at home and some people are here at school, but lunch physically, because of the changes in making sure with social distancing, our lunch schedule changed. So my students are at lunch until 1:15. So we can't we can't switch that. So I wondered if it would be possible to start a little bit later.
Of course. What time does your session run till?
It's 1 to 2, I believe, is what right? I believe that's our time on Thursdays. So I wasn't sure and they go to 1:15. So at 1:30, we would definitely be here, but I'd even 1:20. I just wanted to ask you if that's possible to ask the young ladies if we could possibly just delay the start. So
yeah. So they'll be available that whole time. But if you need a later start, that is totally fine. As long as you communicate that to them, they shouldn't have a problem with that.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, a good note there is that some of your sessions are 45 minutes, other sessions are an hour, other sessions are an hour and a half long. We give plenty of content to our mentors to work with your students, more content than they can fit into a session. So it's part of my work with them is figuring out and tailoring the timing of their lesson plans to fit to their particular session lengths. So they'll definitely be able to be flexible to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Else has any questions, you can chime in. I'm going to just drop into the chat. This is just an example. This is our first lesson plan for this upcoming week. This is just nothing that you guys need to interact with in any way, but this is just a good example of what our mentors will be asked to do this first week. There's just a little bit of preparation, an objective section, and then a list of activities that they will do with their students. The ones that are starred are the ones that we're saying are absolutely mandatory. Getting to know your mentor, getting to know your students, and then just making sure that mentors and students are on the same page regarding country assignments. That is the 3 that we're really asking mentors to do no matter what. And then we have a number of other activities for them to do, including a Kahoot game that they can run with their students. This activity called Roots and Leaves. It's a little bit like that cultural iceberg that you might have seen in our cultural diplomacy conference. A letter to themselves, way more than even an hour and a half, which is our longest sessions. Way more content than an hour and a half can even run. It is 4 o'clock. I do want to be cognizant of your time. So does anybody have any last minute questions that I can answer? Yeah, go ahead, Angela. You're muted.
I just wanted to ask you if we had to set up different calls for the different mentors or just one call for all of them to be on together, because I know there's different groups. We have 3 different mentors, so I wasn't sure if the Zoom calls, if the mentors were just going to be working with their individual groups or if it was all of them together.
Yeah, another great question. So especially for these first sessions, we're going to have all of them together.
Okay.
They will be assigned certain students to work with based on their country assignments. And Zoom is great, as Kristen just put into the chat, breakout room features. If you're using Google Meets, I believe you will have breakout session features as well, if that's correct. Hopefully, crossing my fingers on that. So if they do need to do small group work, they could use those breakout sessions. But right now, we're just asking you to provide one link for all of your students and all of your mentors to join together at. another fantastic question. Kristen, do you want to add anything to that?
I just want to say, just do like a final closing note. And if I could just say a big difference, I think for us in approaching the program between last year when we were in person and this year when we're virtual is an emphasis on the mentoring part of the program, and a little less on kind of completing the curricular work and the writing. And, you know, so if there's weeks where, you know, your students just need to play games and, you know, just have that space to connect and have fun, do that, right? You know, throw away the lesson plan and just do that. I think there's a really big emphasis this year on the opportunity we have for the program to provide a space of community, and a space for students to just like hang out with each other, right? And connect person to person, which right now we're all really struggling through. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen. Fantastic point. Okay, so again, cognizant of time, I will stick around if anybody has any more questions. Kristen will stick around as well, I believe, if you guys want to connect with either of us. Just want to say thank you guys for joining with us on this Thursday afternoon. And you'll be hearing from me via email again shortly. But just thank you for your participation in the program this year. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Of course.
so much.
Thank
Take
you.
care, and
Thanks for
yeah.
everything.
Thank you all.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.
Kristen, that was a great note. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
with the
you know,
lesson planning.
It's important to know. I'm thinking about last year when we did immediately switch to the virtual sessions, and you know, there were some groups that, you know, thanks to even having Global Smarts, they had a regular group that they could connect with, right? Whereas if they had clubs and sports and other things that got canceled, there was no way of getting connected to those groups. So I think this year the emphasis on, you know, mental health and just connecting interpersonally, and a little less on like, you know, we have to do this sustainable development goal activity this week. Like, you know, yes, you have to do it, but is it one of the main goals and objectives this year? Maybe not, right?
Yeah.
So just letting the teachers know we have that flexibility this year, and we should make use of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll hit that point with our mentors in less than an hour. Yeah. Oh, you can stop recording also.
Oh yeah, thank you.